Hey guys, we have an awesome episode for you this week. We got Kellie DeFries joins us from Crystal Ninja. We get into all different topics, but we definitely started where we should on how she got started, so you're not going to want to miss this.
Well, as you can see, we're still having tea.
All right, guys, welcome back to Craft Tea. This is episode 43, and we're going to do a two-parter for this one. So this is part one. And we have Kellie DeFries with us from Crystal Ninja. I'm super excited about this. We've had Kellie, honestly, in our grasp a couple of times, and I just, let her go, and I shouldn't have done that. So
It's the ninja. She gets away.
There it is.
So,
Yep.
Kellie, please, if you want to explain to everybody, if they don't already know, the joys of who Kellie DeFries is.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for inviting me to this podcast. It's going to be super fun. And here at the Crystal Ninja Dojo, it's all things sparkly. We are going on 19 years in business this next February, and it's been quite a journey. I never expected to be a professional bedazzler for almost 2 decades now. But I got my start in just doing people's cell phones back in 2004 and 2005. And it's just been word of mouth back then because there was no social media. And here we are still. We do corporate orders, mass production. We do car parts. We do toys. We do random things that people don't even imagine, but it keeps us super busy. And I, for some reason, can't get enough of it. So I'm going to hang on a couple more years until it's Willy Wonka Day, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah, but what do you got? Oh, that is good to know. Thank you.
You're good? Okay.
Babysitter problems.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, hey, no worries. Yeah.
So you said 19 years. I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a long time.
What did you do pre-professional bedazzler?
Ooh, there's a life
good
before the
question.
rhinestones? I forgot.
Yes.
Because there was a
is,
life
yeah.
before it, right?
Right. Yeah, because I'm 50 now, so I've been here a while. I've been around a while.
There's just no way you're 50.
Yeah, you don't look 50.
You look
I'll
amazing.
be 51 in May. Thanks. Yeah. Even though I
Good
live
for
in
you.
San Diego, I stay out of the sun. That's what I claim my secret to. Zero
Good for
sun.
you.
I was definitely bad about it before 30, but after that, no more sun. So, yeah, it definitely makes a difference. But before I did the rhinestones, my career was in graphic design. So I was into the printing and the paper and the inks, and back when everything was, all about print and print quality. And I worked for tons of high-end architecture firms, graphic design firms, advertising firms, magazine, back in the days of magazines. I mean, there's still some magazines, but so yeah, I'm for sure dating myself now, but yeah, it's just all been about logos and design and branding. And I think that's totally what has helped me, do all of my stuff. And even though these past probably 5 years, I'm not quite matchy everywhere. I'm just trying to get things out and do things because I still do all of it, all the graphic design here myself. But yeah, and then learning all the new equipment every 6 months is a new cell phone that films better and shoots better. And there's all these new apps that do all these podcasts and films all these different videos. So I have to keep up on that too. So my history in graphic design completely helped me get to where I am now. And then on my hobby while doing graphic design, I was doing ceramics and mosaics. So that's where the dots come in. To me, it's all dots and spots from graphic design, MS-DOS, all the dots and spots, Pac-Man, all the video games. And then now it's just, for me, it's all dots and spots. And it's just kind of morphed with me as I've grown older, and here we are, and I'm still seeing dots and spots.
That's super interesting. That's like
Yeah.
living in a pixelated world, but your pixels
Completely.
are crystals. I love
Right.
it.
Yes. Yep.
What do you think is the most random object that you've rhinestoned? I guess
have to
random
always
is
say
who
that
it's said to, but
it could be. Yeah. I guess I still have to always say the elevator. Because I
Yes.
mean, who else has done an elevator?
Yeah.
And over in London. So it was not only just a strange project, but it was a on location in a different country project. So that's probably my all-time like weirdest one, as I've never done another. I've done elevator panels. I've done a few of those, which came after that, but um, that's probably the weirdest thing is the elevator. Yeah,
And
for
how
sure.
many days how many days? Listen, how many years? How long
How
did it
many
take you
years?
to do the elevator? That's so
So
cool.
it was probably the one of the best challenges that I had with what I do, and I love the large projects because of the challenges that they give us. It's no problem for me to sit here and do, a couple hundred of these if that's what the job takes, because there's for me there's no challenge. But for something like that, you have to think about you're thinking square footage now. So we did a transfer process, which a lot of people use for shirts. They put the stones on upside down. They're usually hot fix and they iron them on the
Oh.
shirts. Well, I used non-hot fix, so I still mounted them upside down and then dotted glue on the back of everything and then stuck them to the wall. So when you see the video, you think, oh, it's just easy. She just used little transfers and stuck them on the wall. But there was, months of preparation before that. I had to ship everything ahead of time. I used pizza boxes to ship the square feet. Everything was planned, and it's like I knew about all the shipping before because of my ceramics background and shipping all of my things that I would sell then. And then my wedding package that I did for our wedding was all tile. I did tile invitations, so the packaging in that was a different world. And then I did the plates for the bridal party to give them. Packaging was all about that, how to ship it properly. So I build everything around the shipping package. And so having to build that job internationally, we had to make sure everything got over there in time, all the equipment, the glues, everything. And then that's where I got to learn on site that the job site was 50 degrees. It's not very warm in London at
Oh.
all.
Okay.
And the house that we were in was a complete construction zone. It was all 5 floors. We're getting just completely renovated. And it was freezing in that house. So that's where you find out that your glues you brought are not going to cure in the cold. So then you have to think on the spot. You're like, okay, how do I change this? What do I do? There's not like, well, 10 years ago, 13 years ago when I did this, there wasn't like a Home Depot to go down to and choose something different. There wasn't like a glue store.
Oh,
It's
because you're in
not
a whole
like
different
that.
country.
You're in London where, there's a billion stores everywhere, but you might see like there's a hardware store that only carries hammers and nails. There might be another store 3 blocks down that carries screws and screwdrivers. Like it's so niche down. Back then I was like, if I don't bring everything, if I can't think of everything ahead of time, it's going to severely mess up my schedule because we were on schedule to be there for about a month. And sometimes the client does not have a budget. They don't care how long you take. They don't care how much it costs, which was fabulous. But when you have a life, you want to come home to your own bed. So had I been gluing it one by one in the elevator, it would have taken us 3 months. But on site, it took the 25 days. So, and we also did 2 nail salon carts, 20 house phones. I brought my best friend in the whole world as my
House
assistant.
phone.
Yeah, so the like office phone, full size office phones, fading from black to silver and black to gold in
Man.
SS12. So pretty small stones. That's what she got to do every day in the hotel room while I was in the elevator. And then one day, a couple of days, we got to get together and do a part of a wall for the bowling alley. Yes, there's a bowling alley in the house. So
I'm living in
it
the
was
wrong
a
house.
massive, yeah, it was a massive house, but it's on the backside of Kensington Palace. You can Google map it. It's like it's called Billionaires Row, and most of the
Huh.
homes are embassies. And
Naturally.
it was the sight to walk and see that every day. It was fabulous to walk to work. I walked a mile to work every day and got to see Pizza Hut next to a 400-year-old cathedral. Like it was just like wow. It was a whole different world. So that's probably my best, weirdest project and like funnest and most challenging too. Yeah, it was very challenging.
That's so cool. So like a project
Yep.
that big, how does that work for people that don't understand how that works? Do you like say like this is my budget and then you pay for like you get over there, you get your hotel, or like do they
Right.
like, roll out the red carpet for you? What's going on?
I've not ever had red carpet, but I've seen a few limos or a time or two. But
Ooh.
so on a big project like that, you have to know your numbers before you even attempt to do the bid. So the architect contacts us and says, "Hey, we have a client that wants this." They send all their specs. I get everything to scale by the inch, and then I do my calculations. They say what kind of pattern they want. I have to figure out all that. So it did take a couple of weeks to do
Right.
the bid or the proposal, and you give them options, and then you have to know the cost of your flight. You have to know the cost of your hotel, your per diem, all of that. And I did undercharge for sure on the per diem because I was thinking US dollar, Great British pound. I didn't take the time
Oh.
to actually type it in and realize that it was for every dollar that we spend here. Like at Pizza Hut, it's $10, right, to get your meal. It's going to be $1.60. So now it's going to be $16 plus tax plus. So everything was almost double for what we were trying to just purchase normal snacks or just normal day to day food. So that part I was like, oh, that kind of sucked. But they really were super gracious. And because some clients, like I had said earlier, they don't have budgets. I so totally said, here's the price of United, blah, 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 in coach. And they're like, no, we're going to put you on British Airlines in business class. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, you will. So I was like, okay. So there's some times where they're like, no, we're going to handle this. We're going to do this for you. And that part is always awesome. But I have to always be prepared to, make sure that my bills are covered. And a huge thing that I learned years ago is to get paid for everything before I start gluing one stone. So that's some jobs they like, oh, we can't do that. We have to pay you a deposit. And then when you're finished, I'm like, well, then you have to call someone else because I can't take out a loan for your $100,000 job and then
Right.
and then you disappear or go bankrupt or something like that. Like I can't do that. You called me for a reason, so here's what I'm going to give to you. And I've never been late on a job in all my 19 years. I've never, miscalculated enough to have to ask the customer for more money. I've never done all that. Everything is pre on the proposal and signed off on. I've never had a problem with, oh, this color is wrong or this font is wrong. No, you signed the bid, you signed the proof. I give you Pantone coding of colors. I spec everything out. So I've never had a return or a customer that was like, it's the wrong color. I'm like, yeah, because you chose the wrong color. So
Yeah, if
it's
you're
that
giving out
that part's a
color
lot of work
codes.
too. Exactly, right. Yes, you have your screen codes
There's
now. You
no,
have your
yep. There's screen
right.
codes?
Oh, for
Like for
sure. Yeah,
because the colors are coming up differently on screens. Is that what
yeah,
that
for
means?
sure.
Oh,
Correct. Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, yeah. So it's that part's a whole world of work in its own. And had I not had the graphic design and the architecture behind me, I would not have done so well with those types of proposals. So, and I love the big installations. I love when someone's like, "Oh, we're gonna need so many square feet." When I hear square feet, I'm like, "Oh, somebody said what?" Yeah,
Did someone call for me?
yes, you rang.
So also since you and I actually brought this question up because I don't get to ask it to as many people because they haven't been in business quite as long as you or like
Right.
when we had Jen from Artistic Paint Studio
Yes.
on, and I asked about the evolution, especially since you do the graphic design for the business,
Right.
the evolution of marketing your business over the last
Yeah.
19 years. Because, like she said, that she started with paper and print marketing and everything like
Yep.
that. And then
Right.
now,
The newspaper.
so like, how has that
Yeah.
been for you? Has it been like, do you find it to be a little bit of a struggle maybe to stay with the flow of marketing? Because even now, marketing, I feel like in the last 2 years has changed exponentially
It
with
changes.
influencers and ambassadors and stuff.
Yes, it completely changes, and that's always a challenge. I do my best to keep, every kind of file type of every kind of logo that we have, and every kind of size for every kind of format. And so many apps have made it really easy. I used to only be on Illustrator and Photoshop. I was like diehard, but now Canva, it saves you so much time. And I'm like, it's not quite as perfect, but you don't need to spend all that time. You don't need perfect right now. You just need to get this out, put this on a logo, because half the time, once you submit your items, it might get put with 25 other people's logos on one thing, and then it has to get to their size anyway. And then you can't, you lose so much resolution. It was like not worth all that time. So I have to always let go. That's been like my whole thing in the past 5 years or so. Quit spending so much time on this because it's not going to end up being as perfect as what you wanted to anyway. But I was lucky. I definitely had studied the print world and know about all the paper and the newsprint and all placing ads and phone books and all the stuff. But was super happy to go to the digital world. It's definitely a lot easier, and you reach so many more people with just doing digital stuff. So yeah, but it's nice to have that whole like realm of this was easy, but remember how we used to paste it up on like the blue paper with the lines, and then it's a lot of stuff. But it's been a journey, so I'm learning every single time, and hopefully I can remember what I learned last week because that part's going too. Yep,
I
or where
feel
I put a
that.
file, or how did I
Oh
organize
my
it,
God,
and
where you put
yeah,
the.
yeah.
I
What'd you name it? Yeah, it's crazy.
Jason can't keep his car keys straight this week.
no,
Right? Yeah, if I could only put an air tag
it's
on
too
every
much.
file I had.
Well, I only want to put an air tag on things when they're lost, and then I find them, and
Right.
I'm like, "This is great, let's
This
go, we
is
got the
great.
things."
Uh
And then
huh.
The air
like,
tag never gets put on.
never.
Right. Yeah. No, it's very helpful. We even started using. Here's a fun tip: when you're shipping something and you're scared, what if this gets lost? And I spent a week or a month making it.
Air
I
tag.
put an air tag in the shipping box with a self-returned envelope for the customer to
Right.
send it back to me. When I shipped the microphone and stand to Nicki Minaj, it was like we had it for 2 days. We had to overnight it to New York on Express for 8 a.m. delivery. And I'm like, on a Saturday, no one's ever at the desk on a Saturday where they're supposed to be. I'm putting an air tag in that box.
Right.
And sure enough, it wasn't where it was supposed to be. And they did call us. And I was like, oh, it looks like it's on this address or what have you. And like, how did you know that? We can't see that on the UPS tracking. And I said, because I put an air tag in it. They're like,
Because I'm
what?
not. Yeah, right.
What? I'm like, yeah, because I charged you $6,000 and I'm not paying you back for that because I did all that work. So it's like it's for $30, a little extra protection.
Yeah.
I bought 10 of them. They're in all of our travel bags, our luggage. We put them in everywhere. So it's easy to have a little air tag to help save the day.
Oh man, that must have felt so great when they called and you were like, "It's right here," and they're like, "How?" And
Uh
you're like,
huh.
"Well,
It's
because I'm
right there.
prepared."
Right. Yeah. Here's the Gen X teaching the millennial. What's up with that?
Right. Mail me
Yeah.
back my
It felt
air
good.
tag, please.
Right. It felt, yeah. And then they're like, what's this envelope? And he opened it and I had on the envelope, do not open, mail back to, and had the address. And I'm like, well, tape it back shut because that's the air tag that you asked me about. So
Right,
that
you
was
sent
part
it
was
ready
kind
to
of good.
go.
I know. I was like, you didn't have to open it and tear up my nice envelope. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It was fun. It worked.
So, this sucks because we already recorded an episode and I'm trying to like remember all the really cool things that we talked about and also
Oh,
act
sure.
surprised when
Sure.
but none of this is boring to hear again because it's,
Again. Right.
um what would you say, I guess, what advice would you give to anyone starting their own business, rhinestones or not? Just like what was one of your harder things to get over in the very
Oh
beginning?
gosh. The hardest thing, and I see it every single day in every single group, every single platform, is what do I charge for this?
Right, every
You know,
single
what do I,
time.
every day, every hour, you can guarantee. I saw my friend making this and I want to make this. Should I charge for this? And I was like, well, your friend already has a wall of glitter and supplies and crickets and vinyls and has spent a year practicing how to get that cricket to roll or the silhouette or whatever the machines are. I'm like, well, there's your $5,000 investment already. And you just can't like, oh, I'm gonna just go do this. And the people that do, they finally realize that, oh, I have to get that. Oh, I have to get that. Oh, I need this. And then it just goes and goes and goes. But what happens from what I see a lot of times is that they just take that one project and say, oh, well, I spent, if they even keep track of their numbers, of their money they spent, the cup cost me $5 and the stones might have cost me 10 or 20 or 50, depending on where they got them from. And then, they worked on it for 20 hours and they're like, oh, well, but my area, I can only sell it for $80. That's what my area does.
I hate
And
that.
my whole answer is, you're reading this. If any of you are reading this, It's from a desktop computer, a laptop, a mobile device that costs more than the desktop, the laptop. You have the world at your fingertips, and you're worried about
Right.
selling at the ballpark because your friend sold there. Uh, I'm so confused on that. Like, we hardly have any local customers. Like, you can go through my whole 28,000 customers, and there's like maybe 10 San Diego or 10 San Diego County. I have always done as far like the big cities. Put your ads toward those big cities. Put them towards wherever. It just doesn't make sense to sell local if you already think, oh, well, in my area, I can't sell that. How would you know? Did you try? Like, are there dealerships
Right.
in your neighborhood? Do you have a Mercedes 20 miles from you? You have money in your area. You're just selling at the wrong spot. Don't pop up and get a booth at the flea market. You're going to get flea market customers. Don't pop up and get a booth at a consignment shop that specializes in, vintage lamps and sewing. And like, that's not your customer. So it does take time to find those boutiques, those different areas that your customer might be in. But it just breaks my heart to see people spend tens of thousands and not keep track of it. And they're, possibly single at home moms and dads, and they're just trying to make this stuff. Well, you have to invest all this other stuff to make this one thing before it can sell well. And, when someone asked me, how much would you charge for a tumbler, 30 ounce? And it was just yesterday. I was like, and I was like, no less than 1,200. Like, I have other things to be doing. We know our hourly rate. We know our costs. We have rent. I have employees. I pay insurance. I do all the taxes. And that's where you get that rate. And also, it takes practice and time to get faster. I can knock out a tumbler in something like that in 4 hours. Most people takes 10 to
Wild.
15 hours. And that's also clocking in. Most people don't do this full time as a profession, and they're very hobby like with it. And it is very hard working from home because you start on something and you hear that dryer go off. Oh, let me go fold those clothes. And you just
Right.
get back on it. Oh, the baby needs to go eat. Let me go feed the baby. Oh, let me go answer the door. It's very difficult to get a constant time of that takes for your project to know how long it takes you to do one or to do 20 of them. And that's the other thing is someone says, I got this big corporate order and I have to do 50 of these. Why did you take the order if you don't know how long it takes you to do one? And
Right.
that's the problem. And then they realized that they lost $1,000 on it because it took them forever, and they had to hire their auntie and their neighbor to come help, and they couldn't pay. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem. You can't do it all. You have to have employees. You have to pay your friends that help you. It just rolls into a nightmare. But because it's just like I took 3 years practicing before I ever went professional. 3 years. Most people take 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's where my patience is. When people say I have so much patience, I'm like, I do, but I don't, because the industry that we're in today, whether it's, craft industry, which is, tumblers and DIY stuff, makeup industry, our tools in the makeup industry, the cake industry. We're in so many different industries that it's like it's the same in a lot of places. You see someone do it, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. I did it too. I saw someone in a magazine, Paris Hilton with her little flip phone. I'm like, I could do that. But not only can I do it, I could do it better. So that's what I'm waiting for people to say is not only, yes, you could do this, but could you do it better? Because it could be improved. Like, get better, please. So that's where, if you can do better, then that's where I'm like, let's go, get better. Let's bring it all in. So, it's just a whole different realm of levels of pricing. And I could talk hours on it, hours and hours and hours. And I do over in rhinestoneartist.com in my VIP site.
Yes, and I see you all day, all the time, coaching girls, all because I follow you on every social media, and
I
we're all in the
appreciate it.
same.
Yep.
Me and you are in a lot of the same groups, so I see you
Right.
constantly
Yep.
telling these girls the same things you just said to me in different
Right.
bits and pieces. And just to add to what you said, the confidence, the way you
Yes.
said 1,200.
Yeah.
It
And don't
is the
stutter.
price. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is. Does Yeezy price? Does he, stutter when my friend
Right.
showed me a picture of the shoes that she bought for her husband. She was like $432 or something, and well, she didn't show me
Yeah.
the price first. She showed me the shoes, and I'm
Sure.
like, why'd you get your husband knockoff Crocs?
Yeah.
Like they look like dollar store Crocs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then she's like, I can't believe I paid. I think it was like four something for him, and I was like,
Wow.
Come again?
Uh,
Does he stutter
yeah,
when he sells his not, you know what I mean? And people are
right.
buying them. People will pay
For
for your
sure.
tumblers.
Exactly.
Be
Yeah, for
confident in that
sure.
pricing. Tell
Right. And
them.
if they
And you might
don't,
not get
like,
everyone.
and then that's fine because now I'm, clocked and it's sorry for my lights. We're on like automatic energy saving. And if they have motion, they come on. If there's no motion, they're all off. So I'm gonna have like a disco show here in a minute. Um, yeah. And so it's so true. And I had to learn that. And it was just years ago of just working. And if you know me, you know that I am happily married for almost 21 years now. And no children. I do usually have a dog somewhere in my life, but I put everything in. I do a 12-hour day minimum. I might not be in this office by till 10 a.m., but I'm working till 1 a.m. every single night, whether it's on social media, editing, doing something. I put everything into it. And so some people say, oh, well, you have more time. I chose to do this. This is my life. I chose to not go to parties and dinners with my friends and miss out on all their kids and all their and my family. Like I make my choices. So if you can catch up with me, come on, I need help. Like, um, but it's just a whole different. It's a life choice, I think, for what I do, and at the level that I do it at. But when someone says, oh, I want you to spend, 8 of your hours doing this, but I'm only going to pay you $100, I'm like, how about no? How about I don't work at all? How about I spend the day if I want to take a day off? And like I had told Nicole in NMO, I'll just sit home and rub my dog's belly. Like, how
I
about
love
no?
that clip.
Right. It's the best because how much damage have I done to my hands and my wrists, my eyes, my back, doing all this work? It starts to age you and it hurts. So why would I put my muscles and energy and into something that's not going to pay a bill or make it worth my time? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm like, I'm not working for you. I'm not working for, not even for my mom. Like, nope, absolutely not. You got to get an invoice, get it in here, and then we'll think about it. Even the husband, he has to put a pay. Yes.
Stop.
So yes, because that's
Get
that's
his
like
money.
exactly. Of course, that one. It's mine anyway. No, but you have to treat things because then when I get like I say, a personal order from family or friends or from husband or whoever, I bring it in here. I pull the stones. Susie charges me for it. Everything is legit. I don't just come in here and say, oh, I'm gonna go work on this and take 2 square feet of orange when somebody needs to buy that. Like, no, I have to buy it for my projects. It keeps everything even, Steven, on the invoicing for the CPA for all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of time to learn that. But once you realize that how much money you've invested into what is your supplies, why would you not get paid? Now you're sitting on a bill that you paid for that this person didn't pay you for your work. And now you're still in the hole because you're still sitting on these colors and these supplies that aren't being paid for. So it took me a long time to realize the damage I was doing to my finances and to my heart and to my back and to my eyes, to where it's like, yeah, how about if I don't? You can go get somebody else. You can go to, you can go to Etsy. No offense to Etsy, but you can go where it's cheaper, you know? Um, and, and that's just how I had to learn, especially with getting paid 100% in advance. One of my first big jobs, it was a 5-digit job, almost $20,000. And I was like, oh my God, this is fabulous. And it was an LA client, huge celebrity project, multiple celebrities involved, huge. And I was like, okay, here's the job. I got to do it. I did everything. I took a small deposit to just pay for the stones because my first 15 years in this, I was exclusive with only Swarovski crystals. And that was the finest of the finest. So that bill for just the supplies was thousands.
Mm.
And I put that on my credit card, right? Of course. How else are you going to do it? So I finished the job. I delivered it, expecting to get that check, right? And I was, of course, starstruck by just being able to deliver my hard work to this huge client and the possibilities of where it's going to end up. And I was like, he's like, oh, we'll pay you next week. And I was like, okay. And I delivered it and I drove home. I was like, oh, I sure hope he pays me. And the next week rolls around, he didn't pay me. And next month rolls around and he didn't pay me. And the next month and the next month, I had to reach out to council to get a firm letter sent after 8 months of him not paying. And what happens, that was also the market crash. The houses were all doing
Mm.
whatever. We were blessed enough to purchase a house during that time. And that was the same time where I quit my 10-year day job of a graphic designer with full insurance benefits, everything. Husband has a new job. We just bought this brand new house. The market was to shit. And I took this massive job and I didn't get paid for 8 months. So I couldn't pay my credit cards. I was putting all my supplies on, all my stuff on. I had to pay assistants to help me. Employees don't take pay later. You have to pay in advance for employees.
Right.
So that built up. And then it was right when you miss one credit card payment, they all were chattering to each other, and all of my credit, like got late fees and scores went up or down or whatever. And I got a slight finger wagging from my amazing husband who has never taken that tone with me in my life. And I vowed I would never, ever hear him speak to me that way again, because I was like, I did this. That was my fault. Why would I do that? Because these celebrities that have bazillions didn't want to pay their bill that day. Like, what the
Right.
F is that about? So it never happened again. And that's where I got the confidence, because I did this. I was about to damage everything that my husband and I built over one thing. That's messed up. So that's where and it was a low moment in my life. I have a very fancy SUV, and she was helping me collect cans and go cash cans out. Believe me, that is, but you do what you got to do. So
Right.
it was a very low point in my life during that time, trying to quit my job to do this kind of stuff. Like, this is not necessity. This is disposable income, people. This is not needed. And here I am, like, I'm gonna be dazzled. I'm going to be dazzled. No. So that's where you get the confidence, is when you have to hit pretty much rock bottom like that and almost lose everything. And then you realize, why would I do that for you? Why would I do that for you? What have you done for me? Like, no. So
Took me a
I
long
will
time to
never
learn that
stutter.
one.
Yeah, it takes a long time. And
I'm
it's
still
also like,
learning.
just because if you say your price and you don't stutter, does that make you a mean person? No. And no offense to amazing Jason, but us as women, if we're not speaking to someone in a polite way, we're a bitch. We're mean.
Right. It's
You
so
know,
hard
we
to
don't
get that
if
out.
we stand up for ourselves in any kind of way that's out of tone, it's taken the wrong way. It's like, oh, she's hard to work with. She's a bitch. Actually, you're the one that did all these horrible things, but because you did it in a polite way, it's okay. Like, what? So
Politely not paid
that
me.
yeah. So it's just it's a lot to have to deal with there, to always have a smile on your face when I'm suing 300 people. I'm like, yes, of course I am suing you. Yes, because you did wrong, not me. So I have to keep a smile. I try to never be the bitch, but I'm like, no, I let my lawyers do that. So it's like, I don't ever want to be mean. I'm not the mean person, but I have other people that will be. So
Right. And
that
we are
part's a
gonna
journey too.
I
Right.
hope that we jump into the lawyers soon, but I want to keep the listeners waiting a
Sure.
little bit.
Of
Few minutes,
course.
but
Yes.
I'm coming for you on
Of
that one. I
course.
got
Oh,
questions.
it'll be around for years. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, I was gonna touch on two of the things you said. So one of them with what you said about I'm sorry, the flea market, like being
Yes.
at a flea market and getting flea market customers. It reminded me of I can't remember exactly what I was watching, but it's years ago. But they did like an experiment where they
Yeah.
set up a fake store. It was like a Payless shoe store, but they
Yes, I
put
saw
it,
that.
yeah, in
Uh-huh.
like a high end mall, and
Yeah.
put high end, like literally same shoes,
Yep.
jack the prices up by like $100 each, put
Stop.
a fresh sign on it, and people were
Correct.
buying it. People were buying the
Correct.
shoes.
Yes.
Same
Yeah.
shoes as
Same
I
literally
believe
stuff.
it.
Payless with a different sign.
It's all about how you market
Exactly.
it out there.
And
Like the knockoff
Yeah.
Yeezys or the
honestly,
For
they
knockoff
were
sure.
probably more likely
Yeah.
to spend the money because of the higher price tag. It was like, oh
Yes.
wow, this is
True.
I'm gonna
Correct.
get to
Because
tote this around and be like, look at my expensive
exactly.
shoes.
Look what I got. Exactly. And that's what's always typed or posted in the groups, is that, I can't charge this much, or I can't get this much. And I was the same way when I was back doing the T-Mobile sidekicks, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I calculated
sidekicks.
my all my stone costs, my time, my paints I was using, like all the layers that I had to go through to get this design. I'm talking like probably hundreds just in supplies. And then it took me at least 10, sometimes 10 to 16 hours to do a little cell phone because it was all little tiny SS3, 5, and 7. Like that was my thing back then. Um, and I was like, no one will buy this. No one will ever pay me $600 to do a cell phone. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Until it did. Until I did my own and put it on eBay and sold it for $1,200. And I was like, really? I'm gonna try that again. I bought a whole, because back then there were no cases. You had to do the whole phone. So the phones back then for a sidekick were $400 and $500. Go buy you a new phone, and it's my phone that I have to work on. So it's like might be ringing with wet glue or whatever. There was not the days of having multiple phones. Like, who are you to have multiple phones?
Yeah, really.
Right? And
Back
then
then.
put that one on eBay, and that one went for even more. And I was like, this might be doing it. Um, but then you get those couple of sales, and you realize you still didn't make profit. You still didn't make profit over that $2,000 thing because it took you so long, and it took you this and took you that. And so I was like, wow, it just does cost money, and I can't sit here and make these expensive items for people that don't want to pay for them. That makes no sense. Um, and then I got a space at a neighborhood that's quite fancy here. It's called La Jolla. I got a spot at the La Jolla farmers market, not flea market. It's a farmers market, right? And it was at whatever parking lot. I set up there and it was my assistant. It was her idea, and I was like, if you want to help me with this, it's 5 a.m. We have to check in
Hmm.
every Saturday, 5 a.m. You ready for that? Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. So we're there at 5 a.m. and we got to have our car like in the spot. So my backdrop is a very nice SUV with blinged out emblems, wheels, a West Coast Customs body kit, the works. And then I had my cell phones and my stuff. So I had mediocre prices to wheels, like really. And I think we sold total on our biggest day was maybe $45 out of 6 weeks
Hmm.
at the fanciest neighborhood in all of Southern California, La Jolla, because it was a farmer's market. Like, you're at a farmer's market. What do you expect? So I was like, okay, no more.
Right.
If it's on pavement or dirt, I don't belong there. I have to have an actual structure. I have to have so I realized that that's not where my product will ever be again, because I'm set up this beautiful booth that I spent hundreds on the display items, not just the items, but the display things, the acrylics, you guys know, like, it's hundreds for just your furniture for a booth. And then
Yeah.
to transport it, all of that, it just adds up, and no one sees that because they're like, oh, you made this. I can make this. Yeah, you can. You
Banana.
sure can, right? But and then now I will help you. I will sell you all the supplies, and you can make it yourself. If you want me to make it for you, this is $800, or it sits right here, or it might go into auction, and you might get it for $700. So, yeah, it's location is for sure, and presentation is for sure helps every bit of it, definitely.
The other thing that I wanted to touch on was when you were mentioning just, in passing, I guess, the aches and pains essentially
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
physically. And
yeah,
for me, I was saying it that, and I think it's honestly because I've been spending more time in the craft room as much as I can to just try and be more involved with the contents,
right,
like shooting the
yeah,
content. But my shoulders and lower back have never hurt so bad.
right,
Of all the, like, I come from a very physical career. Like,
right.
I climbed
You're a
200-foot
lineman.
towers. I climbed
Yes,
poles myself,
right,
and I never have hurt so bad ever,
right.
literally
Like
ever.
Yeah,
sitting.
And I'm
correct.
in a chair most, or
Yeah,
yeah,
a nice
period,
chair.
in a
Yeah,
chair most. I'm literally, yeah, I'm in
yeah,
a super nice chair now.
right, right,
But
exactly.
yeah, either I'm at a chair doing the graphic design stuff for the ads or anything
Right.
like that, or
Yep.
at the craft table in this like permanent, slightly hunched position that my lower
Uh-huh.
back is like so angry at me for.
Yes. It's
So
all
how have you?
posture.
That's two
Yeah,
weeks of that, and I want to like
right. You
just
want
lay
to
in a pool
just
forever.
die. Right,
So
for sure.
19 years. How in the world is your body still walking?
Right.
Like what's
Well, I do have normal pains. I definitely have pain daily from the damage, but I did learn years ago proper posture is really what helps everything. If you're not sitting straight up, if your chair is comfy and you're sitting back, or you're comfy and you're hunched. If you're hunched, is it because you can't see? get some readers. We have to get them eventually. If you have contacts, you still might need readers to be able to sit up straight. And then just to look down. Don't bend your head down. Just look down. You have to like put your items where your vision is proper, that you're not hunched over. Like all of it goes together, and it all goes down to having your feet flat on the ground. Um, and I know it's like the typical answer of any ergonomic company or ergonomic person to say, oh, you have to sit up. It's true. It is so true. I was just say if you're in pain for these 2 weeks, I was legit numb for 3 years. I was in so much pain for 3 years and had to really listen to the videos that say sit up straight, feet on the ground. Like it's true. And when I'm having pain, it's because I'm sitting on my leg. I sit on my hip all the time. I don't know why I do it. I know it's horribly wrong. I
I'm
still
sitting on
do
my
it
hip
because
right now.
it's kind of exactly. So when we're doing our production jobs, it's straight up, be on the ground, get the proper readers. I've got 5 or 6 different levels of glasses that I might, because if the item is larger and I can't move my desk down, like for instance, this little guy here, a customer, this thing is so awesome,
I was been
brought us
wondering what that
this.
was.
I know it's super fancy. And I was like, why are you giving this to me? But so if I had to glue on this thing, it's such a weird, shape. Now this is too close. So if it was on my desk, it would be even, worse. I have to put this on a different platform to be able to work on it properly to keep my back straight, keep my head down. So we have to create different jigs to do all this to hold our products. If I have to do 20 of these, it starts to get difficult. Even when I do champagne bottles, I have a different thing at my desk to hold those, or I have to sit taller, like on a bar stool. So everything has to be at my eyesight so that everything else doesn't hunch over and get weird. So, but this is a collaboration that Disney did with Coach, and it's it's like a real fur coat on her, and there's it's Cruella. It's their like rendition of a Cruella teddy bear. It's all Coach leather. I'm like, this thing is so fancy. But she's like, I think
Right.
you could be dazzled. I'm like, yes, I can. So I might work on that through the holiday if I get a spare day. But we just got another rush order in for another company. So I guess I'm working. After I get off here, I'll be working the next 8 days. But
Gotta
so
get
yeah,
it
it's
done.
really about setting everything up in posture. When we do these big things like this, we're usually on the floor, or can we turn it or put it on the table? To get your posture the better way is always the solution. Always, always, always. And then a good massage every now and then. I'm not a massage person, but once every year or so, I'm like, okay, it's time for a massage.
I need
Right.
like
That's where you're
regular
at now.
chiropractic
Yeah,
appointments.
it's
It
possibly so. Yeah.
we were literally just laying in bed last night, and I just went to just move my arm, and my shoulder.
Uh-oh.
I've never had my shoulder make noises, and my shoulder was like
Oh
crack, crack,
no.
crack. Sarah just
Oh
looked at me
no.
like, "What was
What
It was
was
that?"
loud.
that?
That time it was
That
loud.
was growing old together.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
sheesh.
that's awesome. But yeah, it's that's my answer to everybody that's in pain is like, how are you sitting? What glasses do you have on? Do you not have glasses? Like it really does help to not strain your eyes and to be able to sit up straight. That was it, and it solved my problems. And I do still have pain, but I just try every couple of hours to stop, go walk somewhere else, go do something, do all your stretches, do all the stuff, all the things, and then get back at it. So yeah, and drink your water, lots of water.
That's something that I've always been super great at is drinking plenty of
Yep.
water. I've been
Right.
very good at staying hydrated, but it's
Good.
always been.
That's awesome.
I think like working probably over anything that your hands have to be above your shoulder height is like a
Oh gosh,
nightmare. I feel
for
like my
sure.
fingertips go numb like start
The
immediately.
and they do, yeah. And they only well, I guess when I do the larger projects, I do some overhead, but I was a first class welder in a shipyard for about a year and a half, and a lot of that was overhead. So that's anytime I do this, I'm like, oh, there it is. It's a pain you don't forget. So I respect any job that does overhead for any kind of reason. That's a lot of work, and it definitely hurts a lot. Yeah.
I had my next question in my head before I walked out, so I just gotta. I
Okay.
remember it now.
Okay, there you go.
What is it?
Your turn.
And we're back. So, Miss Bedazzler, you actually made your tool that
It's
you use.
Mrs.
Yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
bad. You're right.
Yes.
I always do that, no matter who it is. But you
Was that?
actually made like call everything's miss, not ever like
Oh,
the appropriate one.
oh, I don't even know which would be appropriate. I'm like, I'll answer to anything. Just don't call me late for dinner. Yeah,
There it
I'm one of those
is.
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
you made that. Tell us about that.
correct. So, let's see, my first 8 years of doing all of this work was with all tweezers. All of it
Mm-mm.
was tweezers.
No.
I'm a master at picking it up, flipping it, putting the glue, wiping the glue off because you will get glue in it if there's too much glue. Like it's a whole thing. And that's why I now can't open water bottles because of all the tweezing work. So 8 years of doing that. And then as I got into those larger projects, having to work vertically to get your wrist to do vertically with a tweezer, it's all kinds of wrong. It just
Mm.
you have to now have this, like it's just wrong.
Right.
So I was like, oh, what do I do? How do I get better? Like what tool can help me keep up with these projects that I seem to keep getting? Um, and industry standard is beeswax. You know, beeswax is everywhere. It's been in the world or in this the even the diamond industry, the stone setting industry for thousands of years. Like sticky resin, pine tar, sticky stuff. That's what they use, and then you put that on the end of a stick or whatever. And there is plenty of beeswax sticks in any industry that you can get those. And it always grossed me out. It really nauseates me to see a dirty beeswax stick. It, it just
Ooh.
some people don't like feet, some people don't like eyeballs. I can't stand
Eyeballs.
feet, but I don't want to see a dirty wax anything, and then it leaves a little bit of residue on your stuff, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
oh, what is that? Uh, and then you have to clean it, and then that wax goes into the cracks. It was a nightmare, and I was like, this is all kinds of wrong. And there's other tools that have like this weird silicone type. They've been dipped in some kind of a sticky silicone. Didn't really take the dirtiness, so that part was better. It was cleaner. I like it. It's cleaner, but didn't hold the stone for me to travel to my vertical projects. And I was like, this sucks. And they never picked up anything larger than like a SS7 or 9. So those suck. So it came down to a few weeks of where my husband was like, I want you to lay out all the tools that you've ever used. And I had hundreds of dollars of everything that any store would have that was supposed to pick up beads or crystals or rhinestones. Or I bought 2 or 3 of every single tool because I'm like, oh, this one's going to work for me. Ooh, this is going to work for me. And they all sucked. So, but I was telling my husband, I'm like, oh, I like the thicker barrel. It doesn't hurt so much because of the tweezer damage. So the thin ones, they're out. And then the tips on those, they don't pick up enough, or these pick up too much, and these leave residue. So we just talked about it for weeks, and so we started developing what worked for me. Never in my life, like when I had my tool, my just hobbled together things, I would never show it in videos. This was years ago. I was not showing any what glue was I using, what tool was I using. I wouldn't show any of it. I was just trying to make time lapses to show the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't tell anybody what I had because people take whatever they see, they take.
Right.
And so when I made this tool, I was definitely heavily in the Swarovski world, and having that community, but all the ladies were beaders. They were wire wrappers, bead. None of them did gluing. None of them did the picking up and the placing. But it did get me into the community where other people might be. So I was at those shows, the big fancy ballrooms, all this, and then I got invited to demonstrate my tool at a craft. It's called Craft and Hobby Association, and that's where all the big box stores go to see all the new stuff. Any company that has anything that wants to
Mm.
be in a big box. And I'm like, well, I would never want to be in a big box. Like, I just made this tool for me. Nobody's going to want this. Well, I got invited to go to help do the 2-part clay, and that's how a ton of jewelry is made. If you look closely, it's like a colored clay, and the stones are pressed into it. It's been industry standard for decades. My tool helps pick this up, and the other side helps push it in. There was a reason for the two sides. There's a reason of the thickness. All of this worked together, and that was my first time of showing it. And I had already filed for my provisional patent. Like, I was like, what if I show this and then someone steals it, whatever. So I just went down the rabbit hole of figuring out what is a patent. Wouldn't it be a trademark? Would it be a copyright? No, it would be a patent. So you had to figure all that out and do all the steps. Hopefully you did them right. Hopefully I did everything right. And I had no idea that after leaving that one little demo for 2 hours, I would walk away with 1,000 tool cells.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
now I have to go home and make 1,000 tools by hand because I was making these for myself by hand. I was ordering ink pen parts, unassembling the ink pen because you can't just buy ink pen parts, right? Yes,
No,
you
not
can,
back
but
or
I
not yeah,
didn't. I
but
didn't
not
know
when you're
back
first
then.
starting. You're like, I
Not when
can't
you're
do
first,
that. You're not allowed.
right? It's not. No one does that. You have to buy the whole pen. So I was buying the whole pen, and I have photos of us unassembling it in the living room. We had all these big IKEA bins because I had the big IKEA wall that would put the fabric bins in, and we had the inside, the outside, the spring, the tip. We were clipping off the little pocket protector clip. Get rid of that. I would belt sand that down, dip it in paint, make it silver again, hang them all to dry. All of this, my first 10,000 units, all by hand. And it just is amazing to me that people think, oh, I bought the patent and I just get the tool from China. Actually, no. Sylvia is making 2,000 tools this weekend. Like we make them here. No,
Yeah.
and now we have our own mold, and that part is made in China, and we get the parts and pieces from China. But we still assemble everything and package it. The wax is made here in a very small operation. No one can believe that it's that productive, but I made those molds myself. I put my logo on the tip. So you guys, if you have a Crystal Katana tool, there's a logo. That flower is on that tip in that black wax or synthetic wax
Stop.
because it's not wax. Yes, it
I didn't
is.
even
I have
notice.
definitely not looked
I
that
know, right?
closely. I just grab it
Put
and I'm like,
those glasses
go to
on
work.
and check it out. Right. Yeah, it's in there because I was like, if they're going to copy and steal from me
How
to do that in a
cute.
mold, it's going to cost them tens of thousands. Not the way that I did my mold.
Oh, they can
Um,
never use it for anyone else.
kind of. Or
Oh
I can
no.
easily find the knockoffs, and and that's totally how we've definitely helped keep our stuff separate. But yeah, there's a logo, sometimes two or three on every single synthetic black wax tip. Yeah. So yeah,
Genius.
I took all of that and just hopefully doing everything correctly and the way I was advised by all these lawyers to do it. So and here we are. It's going on. I guess it'll be 11 years for the katana in I think still January or February. Yeah, I think January. So very soon I'll have a little birthday party for the tool.
I
So yeah,
I love you. I was just gonna ask if you were gonna have a birthday
yeah,
party, literally
yeah.
word for word.
Right. Yeah. Last year I made I think Susie got me a cake and I was able to put candle threads in the katanas and we lit them. We lit the katanas as a candle. So I think I'll do
I
that
love
again.
that.
It took some production skills, but I was like, I'm going to make this work. It's all for the content. So
I
yeah.
love the katana. I
Yeah.
didn't
Thank you.
rhinestone much before having a katana. I don't even think that I've ever attempted to pick anything up. Maybe my little picker up silhouette tool once in a while
Sure.
back in the
Sure.
day. I
Right.
love that thing, but I would be embarrassed to show you mine versus Jason's.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's not right to be heavy-handed, right? That's like not, you don't need to be like smash.
You don't. Yeah, I did
Dude,
a whole real car with just one tip.
No.
you
Yeah.
would think that Sarah at that
Yeah.
pace you would think Sarah Rhinestoned a fleet then with
Uh-oh.
hers
Uh-oh.
It,
with the way, but
Right.
she did half a tumbler.
and then
Oh
here's
yeah.
Jason. It looks brand new, and I'm like,
Looks brand
did you
new.
just open
Yeah.
that? Like,
You got to be
and
joking.
here's mine.
Right.
The whole tip's
You
gone.
could
It's like
probably still see
Uh-oh.
the logo in mine.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
at
It
one
it
point I
takes
was trying to
different.
sharpen it with my fingernails because I'm like, I'm not
Sure.
getting up. I got this going.
Yes. And you can do that because that's also what I show is
You
I will
can.
actually cut chunks off the back of it, put it on the front, roll it back together, and it might not be as pretty, but that all
Oh.
that black material is meant to be used all the way down to the bone. So that's why it prices out at a higher price of most hand tools and most even there's even like hot fix electronic tools. My tool is more expensive than an actual electronic tool because it costs that much. That material, that synthetic wax, is very expensive. That little tip costs more than the whole tool. So that's the workhorse, and I wanted it to last longer because I was the one that had 3 and 4 tools in a whole drawer that didn't work, and that was hundreds of dollars. Every tool at the store is $10 to $20. I had tons of those, so I had probably $500 in tools that just didn't work, and I was the customer. I was mad. So that's why I had to create a tool for me because I'm selfish. But then I was like,
Mm.
here you go. But here's the price. So yeah.
You've
And it
never
does work. Like, yeah.
you've never caught anyone actually ripping you off with the flower on the tip though, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yes. There is a manufacturer that has a lame attempt. But it's in there. Yeah. It's in there. Yeah.
I was gonna say somebody,
Yeah.
somebody if they, especially if they didn't
Yeah.
notice it at first, if they just made a negative
Right.
of it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, you can
But
make a
it's
silicone
really
mold of anything in
sloppy.
this earth. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're allowed to.
If
But
I was
you
gonna try to
Totally.
copy
Yeah.
you, I'd at least take your logo off it. But if I don't notice
Right.
it, I mean, I would
Yeah.
notice. I wouldn't be in that situation. But
Right.
you want to split it?
Exactly. Exactly. You better not know. Yeah, but they'll. Of course they will. Of course they will. So yeah, it has happened, and we're working with also with their
I got
legal
you.
team at this time. So we'll be getting royalties off a lot of these knockoffs very soon.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Well,
Yeah.
Kelly, I think that we have given the viewers enough, right, for episode
Awesome.
number 1.
Awesome.
Because we got some juicy questions. I feel like we'll save that for
Yeah,
episode
Yes.
so you,
2. Make them wait a whole week.
that's all the time we have for part 1. If
Awesome.
anybody wants to find you, Kelly, and all of your socials and everything, where can they find you
Yes.
at?
Find the ninja.
Awesome. You can type in Crystal Ninja on most any platform, and that will be me. And also, crystalninja.com is where we sell all of our supplies. We do quotes from the quote form there for our corporate customers and individual customers. And then also, I have my VIP group. It's rhinestoneartist.com, and it's for everyone. So, anyone at any level can join this. And I'm pretty proud of the platform that I've built, and it's growing every day. And if you're watching this before January 1, get in now because the price goes up January 1. So hopefully you see it before then.
Nice. This will come out just in time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
Awesome. This has been really great.
Thank you, guys. I
We'll see
appreciate
you
it.
next week.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be here.
You always bring
Let's
the
get
pot
back to
to the
it.
kettle and never bring the kettle to the pot.
Now, pour the tea.